Tēnā tātou katoa. Mihi nui ki a koutou, te tura whakamātaki, will te hui tēnei rā. No Waikatoa hau, ko Te Aroha, tuku ingo. In the seed space, I work in Waikato, across from Thames all the way down to Piopio, working with Whānau iwi community groups across that in a wide range of different mahi. Our priority mahi is seed and seed banking, how to preserve seed, how to conserve seed, how to pick seed, and how to connect whānau back to the whenua. So I'm just showing a few slides, they'll just roll along, and these slides of just different work, different places I've been, different people I've worked with along the way. So this slide here is one of our young girls. She was 16 when she started, and she came to us in Waikato, and she got taught restoration, native restoration. She got taught how to seed collect and how to preserve seed. These are just some of the slides of some of the seed conservation work that we have been doing in our local nurseries with different places. Just really basic work, networking. So with the whānau that I work with, we learn how to pick seed, we learn how to conserve seed, how to prepare it for restoration. Normally we store seed for up to 3 years on a turnover. As you can see, what we use, our tools are really basic. So we learn how to pick them, go out into their own ngahere to find seed, to find and see what's happening in their own maramataka. So we work with the maramataka of the area, we work with the whakapapa that they have been taught within their areas and what they're wanting to pick and grow within their nursery space or conserve within their nursery space. And the tools come from the $2 shop, the tools come from what's in your cupboard, what's in the kitchen cupboard, just anything we can find at the moment until we get fancier and fancier. In this picture here is two of my colleagues. They are with me pretty much everywhere. One's a convert, a farmer truck driver convert, who is now our main seed picker, our main ladder carrier, and our other colleague Jude, who is part of the Piako Catchment Forum. She is our passionate seed hunter-gatherer like myself, and she goes out and hounds local farmers to get into their little remnants along the way in Waikato, and she's very passionate about the work she does. Just some other methods that we've shown whānau over the years, so it's not all about climbing ladders and using snips. We've also done trials out in the middle of nowhere, hanging umbrellas and sheets and putting a bit of rat bait in there as well, so we get more seed than the rats. And teaching about what are good seeds and what are not. We also have been lucky to work with a lot of really neat people along the way that are really interested in restoration and working in their QE2 fragments, working on their rivers and wanting to conserve papatuanuku. As you see, there's Rosie from the National Trust, Restoration Trust, and Jace. We were on the ground about a month ago in the freezing cold down in the Waikato in the King Country looking for quite a rare seed on the ground, some black mairi. We don't get that on the hauraki. So we go to all extremes trying to connect people with the whenua. This is Waiora River Care in Piopio in the King Country. So they've been going for a few years now, and we were up and lucky enough to get taken to different ngāhere that are in their rohe, and going up to do a recce and see what's in there and do a big seed gather. Really rugged terrain down there in the King Country, so it was a bit of climbing just to get to the ngāhere and a bit of huffing and puffing, but beautiful. We were lucky enough to be able to also collect and preserve, store endangered species. This here's a northern rata that we were lucky enough to find, and we've got a few of those propagated now, and once we get the pest control under go, we can then put them back into the ngāhere along with our whānau. So this is one of our classes that we did at Tirohia at Ngāti Pō Ngāti Hako. As you see, it was before the hui. We did a 2-day hui there. The first day was all about learning about seeds, learning about restoration, about storage. And the next day we went out and went into Kapuatai and Mokoro, and we collected seed, brought it back and learned how to preserve the seed. Once again, this is us on some seed expeditions with our whānau. You see us on our ladder. It's down by the riverbank. We're lucky enough to go to a lot of rivers and have a lot of swims and see a lot of tuna, which is great. And that's the other thing that's really good with seed collecting, is that we get to see what's out there with our whānau. We get to take a tally of what taonga species there are in their rohe, and the pig hunters we find are really good at telling us where to go and where to find different things. And that is the end of my very short kōrero. Okay, so nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā koe, te aroha, tēnā koe. Whānau, the chat is still open if you have any questions. We have had a suggestion, another idea there from Eric, that they use shade cloth mesh lengths tacked down with tent pegs under some of our trees for medium and bigger seeds.
Yes.
Is there something you would do as well?
We've done that. We've done big tarpaulins, whatever our whānau have on hand. We've pretty much covered it from the bed linen through to the garage.
Kapai, there's a question for, there we go. Do you collect off the ground? If so, do you find the seeds to be less viable, the ones that are fallen to the ground?
Depending on species and depending on timing. So as we're actually collecting off the ground, a lot of our big tree species you end up having to collect off the ground. There's no way you can actually reach them unless you've got all the gear for tree climbing. And so when you're collecting them, part of that collection is actually looking to see which ones have been eaten already by rats or by mice, by birds, and you can pretty much split them into what looks good and what might be viable. And when you get back and actually clean your seed, ready for storage, that's when you can actually do float tests, you can do other methods to find out what viability there is, because we don't have the fancy machines. So, yeah.
Kia ora. What about the differences between quote-unquote standard seed collection and what you see our whānau doing at place?
What do they mean at place?
Like in their kāinga, where they're ahika, where they're
Okay. So, there is a standard method for seed collecting, and there are standard I suppose, in the nursery field, in restoration field, there are a standard set of trees, which are all picked because they are easy to grow, their viability is good, their storage is good, as we've heard from other speakers today, and they are usually the first tier or the pioneers of restoration. So the second part is for our whānau. Our whānau like to pick a series of kākano that is either whakapapa rākau in their rohe, rongoa rākau in their rohe, or pūrākau, which is rākau that's from stories that have been told to them or passed down. So that, I suppose that would be one difference of the forms of picking seed. And storing seed, there's storing for nursery for propagation, which would be a 3-year turnover, and then there's long-term storage. I, at the moment, am not advising long-term storage with our whānau because it is, as you've heard today, very difficult in what we have, the tools that we have.
Ka pai. Well, this is kind of linked to the next question. Started off, by the way, awesome presentation. What do you think is needed for infrastructure across the country to make seed collection and storage sustainable in the long run? And this is from Michael. He's wondering about physical infrastructure, training, and people.
Absolutely training. We need a lot of training and reconnecting back to the whenua. Secondly, we need to get people more interested in going back to the whenua. Kākano is, to me, my whakaaro is, Kākano is our start. That is our start of ora, of being healthy again. And it's the start of our whenua being healthy again. And so for that, we need the infrastructure, which will go along with the training. At the moment, we can only use the tools that are at hand. But once we get better and we improve, we can then have our own localised seed banks, which have what we need, and the tools to make that life from 3 years to 10 years to 20 years and so on. And my dream would be that seed banks at every marae.
I'll put a question in the room, so everyone can hear you.
Kia ora, I'm just, thank you very much for your presentation, it was really interesting. Do you get support from your iwi? Or are the iwi involved in any way in promoting the work you do?
The work? Oh, that's a good question. Yes. Yes, on the short run, yes. So I'm working with Hopohopu, the marae Tititoki o Waikato, and Waikato Tainui-based nursery, and we're looking at putting more training into there. And there's been, I suppose, a lot of training incentives in our native nurseries within Waikato. I also want to acknowledge Shah Bailey up in Tamaki, and I've done a lot of collaborative work with Shah, and Shah, from answering a phone call, got me into this mahi. So, yeah, I'm quite lucky. But there's always room for more.
Kia ora. What do you do with collected seeds? Are they given to replanting projects or used by the whānau?
Both. So we collect seed in as much as we can. We collect from different sources, so we have eco-source of seed available, but really at the moment it's whatever whānau need, and we'll go in as a team and help for projects, help for whatever reason they want, even if it's just learning and passing the seed on.
Kapai, there's a question from me actually. You mentioned eco-sourcing, and some of our populations where the seed are gathered would be suffering from a lack of diversity. So how do you balance eco-sourcing with ensuring that there's genetic diversity across the species?
Well, for us, this is our own whakaaro, so just in case, put it out there. So just like, I suppose, our tupuna did, we shared. We shared a lot. We gave koha. So whether it be harakeke for weaving, tōtara for mahi toi. So I have a belief that we shared kākano as well. And at the moment, my whakaaro is Waikato based. So I'm looking from east to west, from Pōkeno down to Waikato South, down to the bottom of the King Country, Moko. And what we lack in one area, we may find in another. And that's how we can repopulate different areas.
Ka pai, kia ora. Follow-up question. Do you think it would make sense to pair seed collection awareness, i.e. getting people interested, with other existing initiatives like predator-free?
Yes, on that one now.
Ka pai, kia ora. So can you tell me a bit, another question here, can you tell me a bit more about how you build Māori values or practices, etc., into your own seed practice?
Okay, I was waiting for that question because I hadn't covered it. So for us, it's a lot to do with te taiao. So when we go in, we cover our bases, we know where our feet are at, so it's around karakia, it's around looking at wāhi tapu, it's around looking at whakapapa, not just whakapapa of our rākau, but whakapapa of our rohe, whakapapa of our whānau, our iwi, and finding those stories and listening to our kaumātua and listening to their stories and letting them guide us to where we can go, where we can't go, where we can pick and where we can't pick. So that's some of the mātauranga that we instill back into our whānau, is around that.
Ka pai. And follow-up question from me. In terms of the Māori values in that, and you showed us photos from quite a geographical spread, crossing iwi, certainly crossing hapu, well actually crossing iwi, from when you say Pōkeno to Moko, that's crossing different iwi, albeit within the same waka. So within the context of sharing and networking, anything to share there about how you've managed to cross those hapu or mana whenua boundaries in order to advance this kaupapa?
Advance it. I think with Kākano, it becomes a set value, and it's about restoration and order across all hapu, all iwi. So I think there we share the same values and the same value system. We've all been taught the same timatanga, or nearly, difference, but it's still been instilled in us from Eo down. And so those similarities make it easy to be able to teach this kaupapa or to share this kaupapa across the motu.
Ka pai. On that note, how do you ensure that the mātauranga you speak about is protected from misuse from those who shouldn't be accessing it or are inappropriately using it?
Ooh. Wow. Good question, all right. Well, the mātauranga that I pass on is mātauranga that can be found in a lot of places. The mātauranga that comes with that will be actually from the iwi, the whānau themselves, whether they know that or not. It triggers a bit of DNA memory, and so that mātauranga that comes across with it will then be able to be controlled, be looked after, be nurtured by the haukainga themselves. And it's up to them what they want to do with their kākano knowledge. Whether they want to share, whether it's something they want to keep, whether there's parts of our knowledge that we want to give out to te ao. I think it's just one part of our whole iwi hapu whānau area that we have. And it's the same tikanga kawa that I suppose every marae, every whānau, every iwi has over all our Māori mātauranga.
Tēnā koe. Jobs for Nature has been investing in our people to do work on the ground. Will a loss of that impact seed conservation work in areas you are working?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jobs for Nature have been really valuable, especially in the Hauraki district, Waikato district, where we are, Matamata Piako, for Kaimo Mamaku, around the ranges, where there's been, I suppose, we're a bit like Canterbury, where the plains down there, so you're kind of forgotten about, and a bit of, and we're right on the edge of Waikato, and then you go up and you're just on that pretty Bay of Plenty side. So that input from Jobs for Nature has been significant, and you can actually see that in our people down there, yeah.
Kia ora. Maybe the last question, but at the risk of being proven a liar, the last question we've got at the moment. Do you see much interest from rangatahi locally in seed collection?
Carl, we're trying. We're absolutely trying. We're dragging them out, screaming and kicking. And if anyone knows any in the Waikato, send them my way. There is a lot more now that they can do, you see. So coming on treks with people up and down hills and seems a bit, but we do put on good spreads. Must add that in. We have lovely kai. I didn't put the kai picture up, but we take really good kai when we go seed collecting. If I'm just trying to entice people out there.
Te aroha nei ka mihi atu kia koe. Thank you for sharing with us, and yeah, whānau online, anei, homai te paki i te reo āroto.